All right. Steelers taking care of business in week 14 versus the Baltimore Ravens. 27-22. Oh, baby. Super excited to be joined right now by the distinguished panel that we do have. TaNeisha from @ReallyFlawed, Miss PhD, and of course, the big producer down in Raleigh, North Carolina, the WRAL Channel 5 producer, Mark Bergin. We got us a victory. Did everybody survive? How's everybody doing this week following the game?
Great win. Anytime you beat an AFC North team, it's a great win. I don't care if, like I always say, I don't care if you're kicking the football into the end zone at the last second of the game and you win. A win is what you want. And I'm happy for that because I also think this was one of those weeks again where everybody's back was like, as people that were ready to jump off were already trying to jump off. They were trying to state their cases. They were trying to make themselves feel better. They were seeking comfort. And then Mike Tomlin's like, good luck with that comfort. So I shout out to the Steelers. Hey, they won the game. They did what they were supposed to do. And they were the underdogs. So anyways, shout out to the Steelers. What do you think, Mark? How are you feeling?
Aaron Rodgers' best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. First 200-yard game since week 9. It was DK Metcalf's best game. And Rodgers in the passing attack got going despite the fact that the Steelers did not run the football well. And the Steelers had major injuries, even in-game at the left tackle position. So they overcame those facets of the offense that have plagued this team and got it done against your division rival. This comes amid calls where people have been calling for Mike Tomlin's job. This team is still atop the division. So if you want that change, that's not going to happen until the offseason. That's not going to happen mid-season when you are leading the division. So we see that today. And I'll land here. I'm 32 years old. I've been watching and playing football my entire life. I still don't know what a football move is. I thought the Isaiah Likely play was a catch. That is just my opinion. We'll get into it. But those are my big takeaways after watching this afternoon.
Let's go. And shout out to the likely catch, no catch. Whoo! I mean, if we want to start right there, we can start right there because that was one of the most pivotal plays in the whole game. TaNeisha, what was your take on it? I mean, catch, no catch. How'd you feel?
Yeah, I don't know the rules anymore anyway. So I don't really know what a first down is, what a run. I don't know what a fumble is out of the end zone. I've watched some plays today, the Bills game in particular. James Cook, I think, fumbled the ball. He didn't get called. I've seen so many calls today. I don't know what the calls are anymore. So for me, I was just like, how do they want this call to go? That's how the call's going to go. Like, that's basically how I feel now when things happen. Because what are the rules? I don't know the rules. And Gene, what's his name? Gene Sarator or whatever.
Gene Sarator,
He also doesn't know the rules. So if he doesn't know the rules, don't hold me accountable for knowing the rules. Nobody knows the rules. They just are what they are.
No, that's real life. What about you, Mark? How'd you feel about it, man? Because you hear TaNeisha, I could definitely understand what that is as well, man, because watching it, you can see, even listening to the audio, right? Some of them think it's a catch. Some of them think it's not a catch. Where did you fall on that line, though?
This is Dez Bryant. This is Jesse James all over again. I really did think it was a catch. And again, he either has to make a football move or allow time for a football move, whatever that means. And to me, he had 2 feet down with possession of the football in the end zone. Like, what more do you need? But it's the completion of the catch. And this was a huge game. If you're Isaiah Likely, don't have crucial moments against AFC teams. We've seen him almost come down with the catch against the Chiefs. We've seen him almost come down with the catch against the Bengals. And now the Steelers, you could argue, is the biggest play of the game, that individual call. And if that goes against Pittsburgh in this game, we're having a much different conversation here in the post-game show.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the feel of the game drastically changes, right? I mean, even the confidence that we were having in our defense up until that point. But to me, man, I guess it's so weird because initially watching it, I thought touchdown. I'm right there with you guys. I'm like, bro, that's a touchdown. All right, what's the next play? You know, we got to get it going on offense. How do we respond? Then you brought up not the Dez Bryant one, specifically the Jesse James one. And that was the one that really hit home to me for multiple reasons, right? But watching it, it's like that to me looked just like that. And the fact that we remember how they called that incomplete, and then I was pissed off when the Super Bowl happened, and then I think it was Zach Ertz who had the exact same thing that they called a touchdown, and that was why all of us, even today, still don't know with 100% clarity what exactly is a catch, what isn't a catch. But part of that I do think is by design. The NFL likes having some of that gray area. They like the fact that, hey, we can still say, man, this is the human part of it. Because if we put 10 different officials out there, you might get 5 that are going to say it was a catch. You're going to get another group of them that's going to say it wasn't a catch. And then you got some that's going to call it a coin flip, right? So to me, I was just glad that as a whole, it ended in our favor this time, because it seems like, yeah, we don't always get that benefit of the doubt. So I was at least happy for that, but definitely one of those calls that I personally won't ever apologize for that going in our favor. But I know from personal experiences on the other side of it, yeah, I can see why the Baltimore fans are looking at the officials like, bro, how?
I'm looking at the rules right now. Control the ball, get in bounds, perform a football act. So in the end zone,
the football act is the gray
touchdown.
area part too.
Yeah,
that's
if
the
a
part.
player controls the ball, gets their feet in the end zone, and performs the third act, like an extra step or tucking it, it's a touchdown. So apparently, likely didn't do that. But like, here's the thing too. It's like,
he was attempting to, and I think that's
James
when he hit
play,
it. Yeah.
He was on his knees, stopped, and dove forward towards the end zone. Like,
he seemed down to me in that situation. I thought Jesse was down with the knee on the ground. Whereas with this, though, you see the 2 steps, the third part, which is the football move, whether you're tucking it, whether you actually, all right, I kept it away. I personally don't feel like that happened. I couldn't see that when it happened in real speed. But the replay, you can clearly see on the replay, the 2 steps, yes. That third act that you read off, that does not happen to me, whether it was the tuck, whether it was the official step, whether it was, because it looked like he was trying to take the ball and almost hold it out in front of Pierre to show you like, hey, I have it. You can't get this, which in the moment, I'm like, yo, bigger body versus small guy. It is what it is. But I thought it was a heck of a finish by Pierre, because you literally see him swipe at it the first time and come back.
Jr.
Yeah. Or excuse me, JPJ. But that's the whole purpose of, finishing the play like that. That's why you fight the way that you fight. And that's why even defensive mindset, you're never out of it.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Most people would stop right there, but it's like, no, keep going.
I was just going to say that play is exactly where we're at as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan base. A lot of people want to quit. A lot of people thought it was a catch. And when they think it's a catch, when you think the season's over, and you think your coaching staff sucks and everything sucks, you want to quit. JPJ was like, not only am I going to finish this, I'm going to knock the ball out of his hands, because he wasn't quitting. And I feel like that is this literal fan base right now. It's like, when it doesn't look good, when it looks like all hope is lost, when it looks like you're bad, here comes a play that basically changes the narrative a little bit. And now we have a different game. And so for me, it's like, and depending on who you are in the Steelers fandom, that is how you're talking about that catch. And so it's just another instance of, where it's like, it could have been that. And I'm just going to say this, and I might be speaking out of turn. Shout out to Patrick Queen. Shout out to Patrick Queen. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. He took enough ridicule, and this game, I feel like he made it personal, and I love that for him. And I'm glad he showed up, and I'm glad that he, even through the injury, he was on the sidelines, and he was like, cool, thank you for that, and ran back out there. And I just kudos to him for that. And I always say I want players to do their job. Today, he did his job, and I want to commend him for doing his job and doing it very well.
TaNeisha,
let's go.
TaNeisha, I didn't realize you were going to go full Godfather 3 on us here today. As soon as you think that I'm out, they pull me back in.
That's it. That's exactly what happened, though. Because think about it. That was that play, right? Everyone was like, touchdown, of course. Like, our defense gives up another. Everybody was already whining. I saw it on Twitter. Our defense, of course, can't hold. We can't do it because of this. Blah, 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 blah. And then they don't score. It doesn't happen. And now they have to reverse course, and they can't delete the tweets fast enough. So now they have to go backwards. And now I'm so petty that I'm like screenshotting because you can't delete fast enough, because, I'm all about the petty. And so I'm like, oh, and now the offense comes back on the field. So now they're going to, complain about the offense. But it's like, again, that is why it's like, don't get too hot. Watch the game. The players aren't quitting. He could have quit. As much as everybody talks about Joey Porter Jr., right? He could have quit. He didn't quit. And it's like, I know everyone's going to be like, that doesn't matter. It's just one play. That is what you want to see from your team. You want your team to continue. You want your injured linebacker who's been given so much grief all week, who probably could quit there. He didn't quit. Benton, I thought he was out for the game. He came back in. My point is like, we're getting so upset that our team is fighting, and I don't understand that. It's like, I can't understand.
To take that a step further to TaNeisha, and I understand the seriousness of the Steelers going into this game, how they were trending in Mike Tomlin's future with this team. The conversation with Mike Tomlin is the future in him continuing to be the Steelers head coach. If you want to have that conversation, fine, but to outright say to fire him again when you're atop the division mid-season, I can't seriously entertain that conversation. If you want to say, hey, after the season's over, the Steelers should make a move, fine. But when everyone was saying fire Tomlin, even the fans chanting that at home a week ago, again, when you're still atop the division, it's like there's times I feel like I'm the one that's taking crazy pills. And so, again, if you want to have that conversation, fine. But it needs to come with the understanding where that is not going to happen mid-season when you are leading your division. Good, bad, or indifferent, even with the weaker AFC North this year, even if once you get into the playoffs, you get smoked, which that's what it's looking like, but you just beat your division rival and you're still top the division. You're not going to fire a head coach when that's the case of any of the 32 teams. So I keep seeing this, and it's driving me crazy because, yes, the Steelers have been up and down. It's been a roller coaster this year. But relative to the teams in your division, that's never going to happen. And I keep seeing it, like going into this game, that was the number one thing people were talking about it when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's like, what reality are you living in to entertain this conversation mid-season, which a few years ago when the Steelers fired Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator, it had been decades since they had made a move like that mid-season. That is not how this organization operates. So if you want to have that conversation, wait until this team is eliminated from the playoffs, then we can have that conversation. But as long as this team's still top the AFC North, I am just so sick of hearing about that and all the rhetoric. And I mean to take that out on both of you, but it's driven me nuts where it's like, well, would you rather be in any other of the three team shoes in your division? It makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me.
Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Mark. Yeah, I don't know if you know this. Me and TaNeisha, if you're taking the crazy pills, I'm the crazy pill distributor. All right. TaNeisha is like my main peddler. Okay. She's out here sending them out there to the masses, and I'm the corporate behind it. So you're not alone. It's okay. We appreciate you though. All right. And for the viewers, I promise you, me and Mark have not talked at any point in time before we get on this show. All right. Because they're going to think that we've talked about this.
Yeah, just so you know, Mark, the going thing is that Moats says something, and then everybody on his channel just falls in line to what he says so that we can make him happy. So people are thinking that, like, offline before we record, we're like planning that. We literally don't even talk about the game. We're like everything else, college football playoffs, other teams, like other things. We don't even talk about it. So just so you know, Mark, that I am basically, I don't have my own opinion. My opinion is Moses' opinion. And so therefore, that's why when you said that, I was like, exactly. Like, I was like, hey, you're not, this is a safe space. I understand. Yeah. I feel the same way. But anyway, so that's why we're like
if you feel that way and you say after the season, you say, okay, let's go get more of an offensive minded coach or a younger coach or a new voice. Cool. But leading up to this game, Mike Tomlin's future, there's a lot of questions, this, that, and the other. The organization's not going to make that move mid-season. Again, when you're atop the division, or you were going into this game tied for the division. The stakes of this game for the playoffs was huge. The guy who invented DVOA, I've got this in my notes here, had this. His name's Aaron Schatz. With the Steelers' win today, Pittsburgh has a 75% chance of making the playoffs. The Ravens lost 21% chance of making the playoffs. If you flip the results are almost flipped in Baltimore's favor if Pittsburgh had lost today. So you're going to make the playoffs. Once you get there, okay, I'm not that optimistic from what I've seen from the last several years of could Pittsburgh go on a run, a Super Bowl run, win a playoff game for the first time in nearly a decade, cool. Like there's that understanding. But to say, let's fire Mike Tomlin mid-season just because you're mad because they've lost 3 out of 4 with what he's done in a track record for 19 years, make it make sense. And it doesn't make any sense. Again, if you want to come to the understanding, say after the season, Pittsburgh needs to make a move, fine. But while it is the here and now that we're into December, we're going to get into January, there's still a lot of football left in the regular season. Hopefully you can make the postseason after a big win today. But to even entertain that conversation, like, are we just filling airtime on TV at this point? Like, seriously, like that's where I'm at when I watch all of this.
Shout out to you, Mark. Hey, look,
Drives me nuts.
I appreciate you. I appreciate TaNeisha because y'all truly voice how you feel, regardless of if I agree with it or not. But to stick with today, though, because I heard all of the noise the same way you did, and TaNeisha as well. Obviously, this is a game that we shouldn't have even traveled to, right? Because we knew the Steelers were going to lose when they started booing them and renegade and firing Coach Tomlin last week and all the social media noise. But from each of your perspectives and in the comment section, y'all let us know as well, why were the Steelers able to win? Because the Ravens, we know they had Lamar, the 2-time MVP. We talked about the rushing defense and how much yardage we had allowed for Buffalo. And this is King Henry we're talking about. We obviously know that the Ravens have a better defense, so they should have been able to, blanket us. But 27-22 and a must-win game for them, like you talked about, Mark, with everything that you laid out, with the analytics of, hey, if we win this game, what it does for our playoff chances, and for Baltimore, if they were to lose that game, what it did for them, what was the difference? Like, why were we able to get this victory for each of you guys?
Yeah, I think for me, it all goes back to offense and why I preach so hard about this offense. In the NFL, most football, when you score points, you force that team, you force their hand. And the Ravens come out, they kick a field goal, great. The Steelers respond with a touchdown. You're now down. Now you have to change things. You just have to. And I think the Steelers offense maintained that consistency until the fourth quarter. They maintained that consistency. And again, whenever I spent a lot of time going in the Ravens spaces and seeing what a lot of people were saying. And all of them were saying, if the Ravens can get to 20 points, if the Ravens can get to 17 points, right? If you honestly believed that, then once the Steelers start scoring, you have a problem. And now you're never ahead in this game. You never lead. The Ravens never led, not one time. They led at 3. And then once they scored the touchdown, they never led. And so for me, I think that's what happened. I think that historically, this rivalry, from my opinion, is whenever a team goes up, it's so hard to bridge that gap because you kind of have to. We're kind of each other. You kind of have to change some things, and the Ravens do not do good when they have to change some things. It's been my battle cry since I've been talking about Harbaugh last week. Like, they just struggled.
And what about you, Mark? How'd you see it?
To me,
how
it's
were we able to
Rodgers.
get up out of that thing?
Rodgers turned back the clock, and he had nearly 300 yards, and the connection with DK Metcalf was there from the jump. So they had the deep ball, Steelers' very first drive of the game, coming off a month where the Steelers didn't have a completion of greater than 20 air yards. And we saw it on the touchdown run where Aaron Rodgers got indoctrinated to the Steelers-Ravens rivalry. When he ran to the corner and he turned back the clock and I saw the discount double check celebration,
Yeah.
like it was a vintage Aaron Rodgers game. And this is talking about where your leading rusher was Kenneth Gainwell with 14 yards rushing. Now, the offensive line played well in the pass protection because 0 sacks allowed. I believe it was only 1 pressure of Rodgers. But the running game really wasn't there. We saw that in time of possession. The Steelers had the ball for a little bit more than 26 minutes, but only 34 yards rushing as a team. So how did Pittsburgh do it? It was Aaron Rodgers turning back the clock, and his connection with DK Metcalf today at least was enough to get the Steelers to survive this game. And so to me, it's Aaron Rodgers who, deserves all the credit in the world for righting the ship. I really thought we saw a vintage Rodgers performance today of the Rodgers that was the 4-time MVP in Green Bay versus what we saw when he was a member of the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think y'all both hit points that are super valid in terms of why we were able to get the dub today. The other thing that I would say was this. We were 2 of 4 in the red zone. They were 2 of 6 in the red zone. Those touchdowns matter, man. We talk about, this is one of the things that I know with you, TaNeisha, you're harping on it a lot, and rightfully so, right? If these are field goals, we don't get out of there with the victory, right? But we're able to be, 50% in the red zone? That is a key part. The other part was this, turnover battle. Once again, we say, how do we win, right? We didn't rush the best. How did we win? Man, they actually ran the ball statistically as a team well, but Derrick Henry stayed under 100. Stayed under 100, right? But it's the turnover, right? You're still in a possession. You're finding different ways to win within the margins. I thought as a whole, those were the big things to me outside of everything else that you guys named that helped us, right? That were some of the difference makers. And when you're talking about a one possession game at the end of this thing, 27-22, you start looking back at that pick. We talk about the feel of that interception and when it happened as well. It's like, yo, we needed that, right? All of those things go together. But to me, those are the two things offensively. Like I said, man, being able to be at least 50% in that red zone, getting touchdowns. And then the flip side defensively, winning that turnover battle, not just in terms of getting the takeaway, but then offensively, making sure that you didn't turn it over. And that just piggybacks to everything that you already talked about, Mark, in terms of what Rodgers was doing. Straight vintage performance. Now, as much as, you know, it would be easy to just roll with the offense, I don't want to do that because I'm a defensive guy, Mark, okay? And everybody hates Terrell Lawson. And like you talk about, TaNeisha, Patrick Queen, he's not a Steeler to some people. To me, he is. All right. But to some, he's not a Steeler. So I want to start on defense. Can we go over here real quick? What stood out to y'all? And, you know, some of the positive takeaways from this thing from a defensive standpoint.
Mark, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll hop in here. To me, the rushing defense still has to get better because, okay, Pittsburgh does better in the red zone today compared to Baltimore. If that's even, the rushing yards allowed. Now, I know Mitchell had the long runs that kind of inflates that total a bit, but 5 yards a pop. I mean, Baltimore needed this game for the playoff implications that I mentioned earlier, and that's why they force-fed Derrick Henry 25 carries today. And to hold him under 100 was key, but, you know, Jackson finally had a rushing touchdown against the Steelers as well. The running game still needs to get shored up. And to me, that was able to keep him out of the end zone. But, you know, you flip one or two of those possessions. I mean, we talk about the margins all the time. That's still something I am not super optimistic about when it comes to NFL's highest paid defense. But that, I mean, I don't want to say they got lucky, but really, really ratcheting things up once you get inside the red zone, I thought was absolutely huge in Pittsburgh's advantage today, you know, once you get inside the 20.
I like it. What about you, TaNeisha? What was your positive takeaway from this here?
I really like the pressure the defense was able to get on Lamar Jackson. I mean, obviously a couple of those he escaped out of it, but all of even the pressures, I feel like, because it's a rival. Lamar Jackson already knows what time it is, right? He's played the Steelers a multitude of times. Like, this isn't like tricky or anything. And so I think whenever you show that you can get to him and whenever he can feel getting hit, you can kind of watch him know that that's happening. And I mean, we ended the game that way. And I think I like when our defensive line isn't getting pushed backwards. So that's helpful. And I like when I feel like it just worked for me today. Was it perfect? No. Was it pretty? No. Do we need to be better at stopping the run? Sure. But if I'm taking last week's game and I'm applying it to this week's game, and last week's game, I thought the first quarter was great. I thought this week's game, the first quarter was great. And then for me, I was like, we got to keep this. Like, this has to be where we're at. And I think we did that really good. And so for me, I'm just looking for progress. Like, I saw what it was last week. And that play didn't work over and over and over this week. So that was a plus. And so I don't know. I thought that they obviously they played well enough to win. And I liked the defense today finishing plays and rallying to the football. I think those little bitty things matter.
Let's go.
Arthur, I forgot one thing. Yeah. One thing I liked, Rashad Bateman's drop. Oh man. Huge.
When he shorthanded it.
Huge.
Let's go.
Late in the second half where the Ravens are trying to chase a deficit and clock. was a third down conversion, and then Baltimore has to settle for 3. Huge, because when you just look at the box score of this game, it's not all that different in terms of rushing yards allowed of what happened last week against Buffalo, but you keep them out of the end zone. And I think that's really the big key, the key distinction there, because, man, it's a few plays here and there, and we say margins all the time, a few plays here and there, and it's like, how much different of a conversation. And my Mike Tomlin rant might be, hey, it is time. And like, look, it might be with Tomlin, right? But that's something you entertain after the season versus that's not something that's going to happen mid-season. And so defensively, hey, man, shout out to Alex Highsmith at the end, though, too. I mean, huge play. He's one of your money players. It wasn't just off of a TJ Watt pressure. I mean, he was flying off the edge. And he was like a heat-seeking missile going after Lamar Jackson. And I think Lamar thought he had more time than he actually did. I think he saw Hayward. I don't know if he saw Highsmith coming off his blind side off the edge. And I mean, that's why he's highly compensated. That's why you want an Alex Highsmith out on the field. I mean, I know Herbig's made plenty of plays this year too, but great problem to have off the edge where if those 3 players, Watt, Highsmith, and Herbig, are all performing at a high level. I mean, it was huge. It was the game-sealing play in this one.
Now, without a doubt, I mean, I love the fact you brought up Highsmith, that pass rush. I thought even though we weren't finishing the rushes, right, in terms of getting sacks, we all could kind of feel that Lamar was having to, play a little bit faster. He didn't necessarily have that ability to hold onto the football and just sit in the pocket. We saw on a couple of times when he did, especially late in the game, that was when he hit some of those deeper passes versus our zone. But to me, I thought the pressure stood out. I thought that was a big positive. TaNeisha, I love the fact that when we started the show, you led off with Patrick Queen, because I thought he was playing his tail off. Regardless of how people feel about what he's done since he's joined the squad, today was another example to me of why you went out and acquired him, why you continue to put him out there, and why he's the green dot. Through the injuries, right? He still was showing up. When the guy to the left of him started to rotate, because remember, it was 50 at first, Malik Harrison, he went out, shout out to him. When we talk about putting your face in the fan, that is what we mean. And as you see, not everybody wants to do that. Some people are scared to death of that. But if you're scared of that, you can't play for us. I need somebody that's willing to put their face in the fan. Malik Harrison did that. But once again, for PQ, it's like, man, you need him versus the run. He has a play where he smacks on Derrick Henry. I'm like, all right. And that wasn't full Spillane knockback, but it still looked good from the little fella, all right? But then you also see it in some of the critical moments in pass coverage. He's the guy, right? You see him literally putting it on display in all the different ways that make him unique. And while having to do that while clearly leaking oil, getting up slow, it's like, man, that is beautiful. That's what you want a leader on defense to look like. The other thing was we continue to create turnovers. Mark, I think was it Patriots game? We're like, hey, man, can we keep creating turnovers? Is this possible? And it's like, Mark, we keep creating turnovers, Mark, versus all the quarter. It don't matter who we play against. Like, yo, somehow, some way we find ways to create turnovers. That
we catch it. We caught it.
We caught it, right? So that's the thing where it's like, and this goes back to that Chicago game where I said, you have to be in position first off before we can even talk about catching them or not. Guys not in position, you don't care about them not catching because they're never even close enough. Right. This is why I was looking at that Bears game like, yo, these are positives because eventually they will catch those, but you got to be in position. And you're seeing it from these dudes, man. So that to me was really good. Defensively, in terms of stopping the run, I'm torn. I'm torn because this is Derrick Henry, right? And you already heard what I said to start it off. Derrick Henry's supposed to run for 300 yards versus us because the Bills ran the same play 26 times in a row and we could not stop it. And none of us would say that James Cook, Todd Johnson, or Ray Davis are better than Derrick King Henry. Okay. So the fact that he only had 94 yards and they ran it 40 times? Yeah. That's what I'm kind of torn with it because I'm like, 24 hours ago, Mark and Father said they're going to run it 40 times. We'd be over here like, all right, they might have about 350 on us, bro. All right. So the fact that they had, I think it was 214, make sure I got that correct. 40 carries, 217 yards for 5.1 or 5.4 yards. After last week, I can live with that. I'm not going to hold you. I can for sure live with that because we talk about improving. We talk about everybody knowing what the Ravens should do, which was, we said, what? You should just run the same play over and over and over again, right? Couldn't stop versus Buffalo. Y'all are better rushing attack. But it let me know that, number one, Terrell Austin made the necessary adjustments. Number two, Terrell Austin was able to communicate with the secondary to clean up some of the stuff that we talked about was creating the issues with that particular play. We didn't say it was a overly complex play. It just put DBs or smaller guys in binds. But they cleaned that part up. And as a whole, that's what I wanted to see. Just respond in that space, because we have been looking at Lamar post-injury, and he hasn't looked the same. Today was probably the best he's looked post-injury, but he still looks off. Watching him run, he is not running at the same level that he once did. And I think that that is also part of why we were able to play defensively the way that we did, being super aggressive versus that dive run play and allowing him to like really just, I ain't really believing that all the way. So it worked. It was a roll of the dice, but I like the fact that we were at least able to execute that part. So, like I said, man, that's how I looked at that. But Mark, who was your key players on defense though? Before we end up on this defense side of the ball, who was your key guys?
I want to stay on Highsmith because all 7 tackles, solo tackles. He had the sack at the end of the game, 3 TFLs and 2 quarterback hits. I mean, this was one of his best games as a Steeler. It came in key situations. It wasn't just, this is a sack in garbage time. The game's already at hand. I mean, he made the key play where. I mean, let me ask both of you this. What was both of your confidence levels? TaNeisha, you go first. What was your confidence level on that final drive that the defense would hold up and get the stop to get off the field and win the game?
Confidence level, I would, out of what, like 100 or like, I was about 50-50. Let me say that. I was like 50% they can handle this because I don't think Lamar was having his best game. So I was like, if they continue to send pressure, I think we're going to be okay. But the other 50% of me was like, but like at any, like tackle Derrick Henry, like, so there's always that moment where I'm like, are we tired? Or are we worn down? So I was about 50-50.
You want me to go, or you want to get yours first, Mark? I'm about to say, because, so for me, man, I was about 90%. And the funny thing was this, the reason I say with confidence, and the reason I was going to ask you to go first, because I figured y'all was going to look at me like, yeah, you crazy. But the reason I say with confidence is this, I paint the picture for you. I'm sitting here on the couch, got my 10-year-old son, and I got my beautiful wife next to me, and they're both sweating like dogs, losing their mind. My little son can't sit down. He's antsy. He's like, oh my God, Dad, what are we going to do? Who's going to get to stop? My wife is over here like, babe, all right, this about to get interesting. I'm over here like, does nobody want to be great? How can you become the hero if you don't make plays in hero situations? I can't become legendary if it's a blowout. I can't become the man if the stakes aren't hot. I can't be the guy that you talk about and that makes you feel real good inside if we don't have a situation that makes you feel so uncomfortable that you need somebody, that you pray for somebody. And I laugh because my little guy, I can't make this up. He literally says, TJ, make a play. I said, hey, buddy, the same way you hollering for TJ, just remember, TJ was once a great Moats, right? Highsmith was once a great Moats, right? And I was throwing names. I was like, yo, Ramsey was a great. I'm like, we got all these different guys. Anybody's capable. And literally 2 plays later, you get Highsmith making the sack, and it's like, holy smokes, right? So to me, that was my mindset, but that's always my mindset. I love close games. I wanted to feel like, oh my God, it's insurmountable, because that is when you make a play and people will never forget you. When it's a blowout, nobody cares who made 3 picks in a blowout game. Nobody cares who had a sack in the 4th quarter of a blowout game. You will never forget Alex Highsmith, what he did in his Ravens game today, though. And that's the part of why I was so confident, because it's like, yo, somebody's going to step up. I don't know who it's going to be, but somebody's going to step up. So that's why I got that confidence. Now, we could call it blind faith, and I get that. Mark, we know this is the same confidence that I had when we played the Vikings. Me and you got up here, had a full-on 30-minute, and it was the same thing. It was like, hey, bro, I'm not tripping. Patriots game, same thing, right? You know how we do, baby. So to me, I'm like, yeah, that's who I am, man. I'd rather go down with my defense, man.
I think you were both more confident than me, but considering we had been in the situation where the likely catch was already called off by that point, it's like, it just might be Pittsburgh's day. But to the youth watching this, if you take one lesson away, life lesson from Arthur Moats, how do you become the hero if there aren't hero situations? What a quote.
Nobody cares if Superman came and just got you because you couldn't reach the peanut butter on the second shelf. Nah, Superman is important because it's like, yo, the world's about to end. Yo, people are dying out here. Who's going to save us? oh, this guy came and did something legendary. He did something special. That's just how I look at it, man. And I mean, I'm not making this up. Why do we care about Troy Polamalu? Because of the moments that he did, right? The plays that he made when it looked like it wasn't a play to be made. It's 4th and 1. He jumps over top of it. How did you do that? Right? It's the AFC Championship. He caught a one-hand pick and then went to the house? What? It's like nobody, if it's a 3-score game, nobody cares, right? If we're up confidently and everything is good, nobody remembers that. But because of that moment, because of the stakes, because of how we're on the edge of our seats, that's why. So as a competitor, I just want those moments, man, because I feel like these dudes work way too hard to not have this, man. You work your tail off to be in that critical moment. Why run away from that? Why? Lean into it.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, the part of that that's missing is you have to want to be a hero, because I think some people don't have that mentality, right? They don't want to be the guy, right? They want somebody else to be the guy so they can celebrate with the guy. And so I think, but that is why, so you asked a question about defensive guy or whatever. That's why for me, Patrick Queen, in my mind, was the guy today, because he had every reason and excuse not to be. I think whenever you are on the field, you have to go to a timeout. You're down. Everybody sees that you're in pain. Everybody knows you're dealing with a hip injury. Everybody knows what's going on. Nobody would probably be mad at him if he didn't come back in, because they would know, like, he has been injured. He's trying. But when you say, forget that, forget how I feel, forget this injury, I'm going in this game. Like, if I do nothing else, I'm going in this game, and they're going to have to carry me out of the stadium unless I'm going to play in this game. That, to me, is what we want to be, is that. Like, that showed so much grit, so much everything. He had every single excuse not to be out there. And all he does is just goes out there, and you never knew that he went out. You just never knew. And I just love when you see somebody's back against the wall and then they continue to fight. There's something about that in me that I love that. Like, I will never forget any guy that goes down that comes back and just figures it out. Like, I don't know. And maybe in my real life, I'm like that too. So for me, when I see it on a football field, I'm just like, because you don't have to, like you don't. And if you went out, nobody would ever know really what was wrong with you. Like, nobody ever knows. And that's why for me, this team is just doing things. Yes. Do I get frustrated at time? Yes. Am I still on this offense? Absolutely. Do I think that the fourth quarter offense could have been better? Absolutely. Am I tired of the toss plays? Absolutely. I'm not as upset about the run game as some people probably are, because I think some of the plays that we did acted as run plays. And so I'm not as upset about that, because we realized the Ravens could not defend something specific, and they ran it. And it wasn't a run play, but it kind of was a run play to me. But I want to say this, and I can't forget to say this. When Mike Tomlin went for it on 4th and 1 in the first quarter on the first drive of the game, I already knew what time it was. And he's done that now. That was, I think I said this again on another game where he came out and it was like it was against the Colts. Because I remember at the time they had this offense and we couldn't, and he was like, screw it, we're going for it. We didn't get it. But my point is I remember then I made a point to say, we're not going for it all the time for this one moment. This is about a multitude of moments we're trying to string together. And he went for that today. He got it. We scored a touchdown on that drive. And to me, I was just like, okay, I like this. I like this aggressiveness. I like that we weren't waiting to see what the Ravens were going to do to us. We were going to take it to the Ravens, and they were going to have to figure it out. And I loved that game plan. I loved that.
I like it. Well, shoot, since you're breaking up the offense, let's go ahead and transition to that side of the ball then. Mark, what you got for me, man, in terms of what stood out to you on this offense specifically, in this game right here?
DK all day, man. And this was especially important because going into this game, the receivers, the Steelers decided to make active versus inactive. So Adam Thielen, your new acquisition, he was active today. MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he was active today. They decided to activate Scotty Miller today. Roman Wilson inactive today. And was it Keyshawn, the return man, inactive today. Roman Wilson was a third-round pick a year ago, and he's inactive. And I know Adam Thielen has plenty of experience. He's the oldest receiver in the NFL. It was very eye-opening. But I kind of look past it at this point because the guy that you're paying big money to had a big money performance today. Mm-hmm. And it was something that they established early on. I can't even imagine what that was like from his standpoint, the long downfield completion where it's like, finally this works. And to me, that connection with Rodgers, we've been clamoring for it. He had a 5-game stretch where the receiving yards, it's like, oh, man, wide receiver one money. Why? That was not the case today. Yeah. And it's 7 receptions and 12 targets that can still be improved upon. I mean, there are a few times down in the red zone where it's like, man, maybe you can get a touchdown or two, and maybe you have an even bigger lead that you're playing with that Baltimore's trying to chase. So it can still be improved upon, but I don't mind force-feeding DK Metcalf because when you can actually get the ball in his hands, I mean, here's the thing. 21.1 yards per catch today. It's like 2 first downs every time he touches the football.
I know you had something in there, TaNeisha. You was about to hop in there?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, first I have a question. When do they tell guys they're going to be active or inactive? How soon do they tell them?
Usually 2 hours before the game.
Okay, so they tell them when they post it to us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll have an idea. Some guys will have an idea, like if you're injured or not. Some dudes will know based on, all right, man, we're going to have to dress, 4 outside guys versus 3 outside guys. So you can have an idea that way. But it's usually like 1 or 2 guys that won't know until they get to the actual locker room on game day. And like I said, everybody's supposed to be there about 3 hours ahead of time anyways. Okay, cool. I just always wondered how soon do they know between when we know. I think this offense has been our Achilles heel all year. I think this offense is doing their best. And I think this is a great game for them. And they did the thing that I've been saying, just throw the ball down the field sometimes with your good quarterback, with your good receiver, your tall guy, your 6'4" guy, not the little one, the big one. So I love seeing that. I don't understand what is happening with Rodgers and Jonnu Smith. It just I don't know what that is. It just feels off. So I'll just leave that where it is. But I think today Aaron Rodgers did the thing that I like Aaron Rodgers for, is he was a veteran playing football. And I felt like he chose his spots very well. And I thought he used the check down very well. And I just thought, I don't know, he just felt locked into me. He just felt locked in. The things that I've been complaining about him for the past 2 weeks, or maybe even 3 weeks, I didn't see that today. Today, I felt like he came fired up, ready to go. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen Rodgers celebrate as much. This felt like the first week of the Jets to me. Like when he was playing the Jets, like he was getting fired up. He kind of didn't really do that. And so today I felt like Aaron Rodgers showed up and he was fired up. I mean, Aaron Rodgers faked a handoff and ran to the corner of the back of the end zone. It was the slowest touchdown I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was just like, what a great play call, by the way. And he celebrated afterwards. That to me, I just felt like he was in this game. I don't know. Something about him felt fired up to me, and I need that more often.
You know how I know he was locked in today? On the first play that they had where Pete was out of the game with an injury, Andres Pete at left tackle, and they brought in Dylan Cook, and he had some help off the edge. He had a chip off the edge. Rodgers had Calvin Austin III one-on-one on the outside, and it was Calvin Austin III's lone catch of the game. It was like a 30-yard completion down the field. And the ball was just perfectly thrown. Like it was just on the money. And I'm like, yeah, he's locked in today. Like it was that throw where it's like, this is Aaron Rodgers' day.
Yeah, to me, man, I just love how offensively they just continue to block out the noise. It's like everybody has told them how bad they are. Everybody has told Arthur Smith how bad his offense and the calling is. But it's like they don't listen or care about any of that. They don't care about the optics. They don't care about not consistently doing any of it. It's like, oh, you need us to do it today? You need us to do it right now? Bump it. Here we are. Right? So when I look at DK, the same way, it's been times where we can't connect to him and Rodgers was broken, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, it's broken until it's not broken. Right? That's how it always is. The O-line can't pass protect until they can, right? We talk about not having Broderick out there. Andres Pete, man, I thought he played his tail off. And then when he went out and Dylan Cook came in, he played his tail off. And then when you talk about Arthur Smith just being thoughtful with when to take some of those shots downfield. Heck, you brought up the toss play. We scored that touchdown on that toss play. And the thing that I like was, if we're going to run it, my whole thing, and I continue to say this is, man, run it with the big body people. 74 is eligible. That to me is the difference. If you're going to run it with 74 being eligible, because now it's not, I'm trying to trick you. If we know the toss play is, I'm trying to create one-on-ones in the run blocking game, and can my guy block your guy? Don't try to trick it with Roman Wilson. Don't try to trick it with Calvin Austin. Give me DK. Give me Ben Skronik, and give me 74 is eligible, big old Spencer Anderson, and let's have fun. Now let's see, can you block this thing? And now let's see, can those DBs, them LBs, them safeties, can they beat that guy? It worked enough. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But today I didn't call for that. And that's the flip side, right? We say you got to run the ball consistently when you can't throw it consistently. And the flip side, you're the Bengals. You got to throw it consistently because you can't run it consistently. Well, shoot, today we got off with a little bit of that Bengal style, did we not? Let's spam DK, get him the ball early and often and make them deal with him. And it was connecting. Then you get a couple of others making some plays, right? Mm-hmm. That's the Calvin Austin element of, right? Oh, man, we got an other. The Jalen Warren, the 3-yard screen pass. Shout out to us. I thought we don't know ones who have blown calls defensively, but the Ravens also blow calls. And now from there, it allows Jalen Warren to take a routine out route, 30-something yards for a touchdown. That to me, yeah. So to me, it's like, man, I just want to see this offense just continue to say F you to the critics. And that's what they keep doing. It's like, yo, people can, hey, we want this, we want that. It doesn't like that, doesn't like, it's like, cool. They found a way to put up 27 today. 27. And went 2 or 4 in the red zone.
Mm-hmm. I am going to fall on the sword for all of Steelers Nation right now. I give this offense full autonomy, authority to say F me every week. Okay? Man. Every week. Oh, no. I need the Steelers offense to say F TaNeisha. Like, forget I'm going to prove her wrong. Like, I don't care. No, don't reverse it. Don't reverse it. Not reverse it. We're just saying, don't put that in front of you specifically, because we know how our congregation can get at times. Okay, they'll get a little bit too excited. They're gonna get too excited and take that the wrong way. Listen, we're saying from a football standpoint and football exclusively standpoint. You just gotta make sure you clarify. We're obviously talking about football, but chat, everybody listening to this around the world, I do not mind. I want to be wrong every single week with the Steelers offense. I want to stay on them. I want to be frustrated with them. Let me take it all and let them continue to prove me wrong. Like, I am happy to be that person. So anyways. Yeah.
I can bring us back, because I feel like I always do this to both of you. Before Pete's injury, he got called for a holding penalty.
Yeah,
I am okay with that if it doesn't get Aaron Rodgers killed. Aaron Rodgers is 42 years old at this point. Like, do I want to see this offense move backwards? No. If it helps Aaron Rodgers avoid taking a bone-crushing hit where he has to miss time, or it forces him not to be right for the rest of the game,
hold him.
I am okay with that. So it's like, that was something I saw in this one where Pete got held he got a holding penalty, and I'm like, hey, at least he's doing everything that he can do to protect his quarterback. And like I said, I thought it was Rodgers' best performance in a Steelers uniform. And
we scored a touchdown off of that in that drive. Yeah. So, and that, again, that's impressive, right? Now we're going backwards. Yeah. And I'm like, oh gosh, when we start to go backwards. And today that didn't happen. It's like, great job by this offensive line. I think they deserve hang on. Much.
TaNeisha, hang on.
I didn't finish the sentence. I didn't finish the sentence. I was saying great job to this offensive line, because they did protect Aaron Rodgers and they gave him time. That was all I was saying. Gotcha. I'm not talking about the run game. I'm keeping that where it's at. Okay, listen, I'm on this offense. I got to pick my shots. Okay, but I was going to say, shout out to this offensive line for protecting Aaron Rodgers. I think, and I think I said this in my instant reaction, like that is a small thing, but very mighty if you can protect our quarterback. Now, there are other things they need to do, yes, but if the first thing you do correct is protect Aaron Rodgers, sign me up for that, because we need him out there. So if you got to trip on accident or hold or grab him or jump on his back or whatever you got to do to keep Aaron Rodgers out there, yes, do it all, please. Thank you.
No. Finishing up with offense, though, before we get to some of the negative, right? What were just a couple of the positive things that y'all did like offense? And you're like, you know what, man, this actually showed up well. we want to replicate this going forward if possible, right? If the lucky football guys will help us out here.
Check downs to Jaylen Warren.
Ain't that the truth? Shout out.
Give me all those. I love the way he runs the ball in the open field. But no, I just think for me, my biggest takeaway for this offense, my biggest positive was when you open up the offense, the defense has to think about it. And I think they did a great job today opening up the offense on the first drive of the game because it set a precedent that we're going to do this. And I loved that. We looked like an aggressive offense today. I just like that. I don't know.
For me, the left tackle position's a huge question mark because if Pete is out for an extended period, you're down to your third string left tackle. And then if another injury happens, what do you do from there? So that's something where you've got to absolutely monitor. And I look at that down the stretch here when the weather is cold and you're playing in cold weather stadiums to keep Aaron Rodgers upright, healthy, and playing his best football down the stretch of the season at moments that you need it. That, to me, is going to be huge. I thought in the pass protection, they certainly did that today. Running the ball, and here's the thing, too. And the reason why I'm critical about running the ball is I don't feel like that onus should always fall on Rodgers and incumbent upon Rodgers, where it's like, oh, okay, is he clicking with DK today or not? And if he's not, this offense stagnates. That's the concern that I have, but at least for today, they were able to get it done and leading the whole game. And this is another thing, too, is if you can be even better from a red zone standpoint, maybe you have an even bigger lead because those opportunities were there. You just have to execute when the field becomes condensed. And it's like that really, when you get down to the nitty gritty of, okay, how Pittsburgh won today and how Baltimore lost, all you need to do is look at the red zone execution for both teams. And that told the story of today's game.
Nah, both of y'all spot on once again. Shout out to that. I would agree, though, when we're talking about the ability to protect Rodgers. TaNeisha, you brought it up with the O-line from a pass blocking standpoint. 100% in agreement. That's the most important part because we know this offense goes as he goes. When he's playing well, when he's clicking and he looks good, as a whole, the offense looks good, even when all the other pieces aren't playing to the best, right? It wasn't like we had, 100-plus rushing yards out there. But we were still able to do that because of the protection of Rodgers. So shout out to that part. The other thing that I would say is we protected the football, right? We know with our offense, we're not overly explosive. That's why days like today feel a little bit different when we're taking shots down the field. And every game they take shots, the difference was they actually caught him this game. So when you catch him, the drive extends and it just feels different. Whereas when you throw that bomb to DK and he misses it, all right, that was 3 and out. And now we're punting. And we're talking about the offense being stagnant and we're, looking at, just the call as a whole. So to me, I love the fact that while we were still doing that, we just protected the football because it's one thing to take them shots down the field. It's one thing to, target the big guys or even the little guys and even the middle of the field. But when you start having interceptions, we know what that does. We know how critical that can impact us. And then the last thing that I had was, even though once again, our running game was a lot of work in progress. All right, we'll leave it at that. A lot of work in progress today. I like the fact that we still stuck with our identity. We still were going to run that toss play. We still got them 13 personnels. We still added on the extra tackle in certain situations. So even though we took a lot more chances down the grass, we still stayed true to who we are while trying new pieces out, right? We got a Thielen in there. We had Marquez Valdez-Scantling in there on one of the most critical plays. We're like, hey, bro, you wait all game. You want to target him now? Like, I get it, but But once again, it was kind of like, yo, the fact that you're trying something different. Mark, you even hit that nail on the head when you talked about who got a helmet and who didn't. I loved it. I thought it sent a clear message that we are no longer waiting on young players this week. You either hop on this moving train or you're going to be without a helmet. You don't get to just be guaranteed a helmet because you're drafted or because you're compensated here. You have to earn that right to put that helmet on game day. Otherwise, get back in practice, make plays in practice, show you're consistent in practice, and try to beat out of Adam Thielen, try to beat out of MVS. But you've heard me talk about this, both of you guys, when we talk about veterans in practice. Veterans know how to do certain things at a high level because they've done it for so long. And at times, if you're a young player, you've never been around something to show you that, you might think that what you're doing is up to snuff. But that is why you got to bring these veterans in at times to remind them like, yo, bro, This is how a guy that's led the league in receiving prepares. This is how a guy who's been a legit number 2 receiver, this is how they prepare. So I get it that you guys are young. I get it that you guys are drafted. I get it that we are optimistic about y'all, but hey, notice is out. We're not about to just keep waiting on you guys week after week to the point we're about to fire the head man because of y'all's lack of execution and production. So I loved all of that. I thought that was like top down, like, okay, bet. We rolling with the big dogs, rolling with the vets. Hey. Yeah. And it gave us what we needed today. Now, we'll see what next week looks like. We'll see what this week in practice looks like. The other thing was Rodgers talking. He said that, man, this was their best week of practice this season. I thought it reflected when you talk about 4 quarters in all 3 phases and how just the production, but also the mental focus. There wasn't a lot of blown assignments offensively or defensively. Now, we still had moments, right? In all 3 phases. We had a field or a kick on, special teams that we ended up, didn't land and landed. It was like, bro, what are we doing?
Yeah,
when we start doing that, right? Yeah. So we had things pop up negatively, but as a whole, you could just see where this team, they look like, we are all clicking together. So even when it was wrong, they were still able to overcome that. And I think that that's a step in the right direction. So that was one of the things that I really, like I said, liked with this offensive performance today.
Yeah. Now, I also saw, I saw Caleb Johnson sighting. That made me happy.
Shout to the young boy.
I think he had like 2 carries. I think he got 2 touches. And just seeing him on the field, I like, again, he needs to do what he needs to do. But just seeing him out there, I was like, oh, okay. Hey. So that was fun to see. Sorry, Mark, go for it.
I want to stay with the receivers and then I get back to Caleb Johnson, promise. I don't think it bodes well for Wilson that he's inactive today, like for his future. And I understand he battled injuries a year ago, but you're talking about, Thielen had 1 catch on his 1 target. MVS had 1 target, didn't have a catch there. I've been harping on this. I want to see Pat Freiermuth targeted more. He had 2 catches on 3 targets today. But to me, with Roman Wilson, with the consistency standpoint, if he was effectively inactive, benched, however you want to phrase that, for Adam Thielen, who they just got. And again, I understand Adam Thielen's a veteran receiver, but to where he needs, takes time to grasp the concepts of the playbooks and all of that. To me, that doesn't bode well for Rome. Now, I'll say this too. I had my half-baked questions. I had Mark Bergin's half-baked Steelers idea when we talk about the running backs.
I love these.
Is there a guy the Steelers could go get as a free agent right now who's more of a bruiser that can help out Warren and Gainwell? Because we keep trying to kind of establish Caleb Johnson 2 carries, but is there someone free agent? I've got a list of names in front of me and it could be there's a few where I'm like, no. Or it's if I actually go to the stats, it's this guy hasn't produced in at least 2 years, but it's whether it's Gus Edwards, okay? Zach Moss, Jamal Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, nah. Deontay Foreman, 2 years ago, I said, yeah, if you actually look at his stats, no. Cordero Patterson, we know how that lasted with Pittsburgh. J.J. Taylor, Mike Boone. These are names.
Mark, I need some better names, Mark. Come on, man.
Those are the options. I'm sticking with Caleb Johnson.
Mark, I need better names.
There's got to be something, though. It's this running game. To have it stagnate the way that it does and then to put all of the onus on Rodgers at 42. Arthur, we talked before the season. I thought Rodgers was going to be much more of a game manager, not have to put on the Superman cape and turn back the clock. He's had to do that for this offense to be anywhat successful this season. Okay, it's fine. I get that he's a 4-time MVP, but for where he's at in his career, I still think Pittsburgh is asking him to do way too much and not to get any help in the running game. And the reason why at the end of the game, when it's man, the Steelers could blow this. And that was running through my brain too in the fourth quarter, final drive. It's the attrition of, the defense is stuck on the field yet again, where we can be critical of the defense, but it goes back to the same issues and the same problems that we've been having. Steelers had the ball for just over 26 minutes in this one. And that adds up over time, and they're able to get it done today. But this running game, and it's between the tackles, Arthur, there's got to be someone where they could get that's more of a bruiser that could help this offense out, even out on the street right now. That's Mark Bergen's half-baked Steelers idea for this week.
Hey, shout out to it, man. For me personally, if they're on somebody's practice squad or active roster, I'm 100% with you. If they're off the street, I'm 100% against you. And I think the difference is this. One is they're not in game shape. You can run all the cones you want to run. You ain't in pads. You ain't got hit. You ain't dragging nobody. So when you throw them pads on and now you started running that push and pull, oh, hammy, oh, hip flexor, oh, growing soft tissue. Now, difference is this, though. If they're on an active roster or a practice squad, these guys have been practicing. They've been going through the motions. They've been going through the mental meetings and all of that. So now you sign that guy. I think you plug him and play him. And yes, they can give you more than Caleb Johnson, right? Potentially, or more than, Gainwell and Warren in terms of the big body bruising type of runs. But I think it has to be somebody that's already in it. We're in December. To me, I think it's like, personally, I'm like, I can't disrespect the preparation that goes into week to week for Caleb Johnson. It just assumed that a dude that's been on the street could come in here in December and unseat him. I personally don't feel like that. Now, if this is a dude that, say he's on Jacksonville's practice squad, or he's, the number 3 running back in Arizona. I'm just throwing stuff out. I don't know anybody for sure, right? But just throwing it out. I think in that situation, yes, go find somebody.
Let's go poach someone then. Let's go big game.
The same way we just did with Adam Thielen, right? The same way we just did with Adam Thielen, right? We didn't know that was available. It gets released. Boom, go get that. Why? Because it's already in shape. You saw the difference between Adam Thielen and MVS. Adam Thielen, we just signed on Monday, right? Monday or Tuesday, and he was out here playing on Sunday.
Yeah.
MVS has been on our roster for how many weeks now? And we just saw him. Why? Because he was a street free agent. It's not in shape. Even if you're in shape, you're not in game shape. It's a big difference, man. Because when you throw them pads on, whatever you've been doing, add 12 to 15 pounds on top of that, because that's what the shoulder pads and the helmet weighs. We don't even wear thigh pads and knee pads anymore. Just be real about it. But it's like, that adds. And now when you throw the push and the pull in, that actually goes with playing the game. Yeah. I personally don't. That's why I was like, if they're on somebody's roster, poach them, find them that way. And we got scouts that are doing that too. And that's why when the Thielen situation happened, we were one of the first ones in line. So we got that. But I just think that we can find that and it'll be more effective. We'll get what we really want out of it if they're on somebody's roster right now. Heck, I'm sure there's a practice squad guy somewhere out there right now that we're looking at. He's like, he's 215. He's fresh. He could go. I think if that's the case, 100% go get him. I don't know the name off the top of my head right now, but that's the guy that I'm shooting for way more than any of them, like just street free agents that we're naming right now.
Thank you for checking me on that, Arthur. And you put that more eloquently than I could, but it just has to get better, the running game.
We're on the same page. We both, all three of us, identify the issue. I even have it in my notes in bold print. Rushing attack needs to be improved. Rushing game consistency. Man, what's going on with our run blocking? All of it stems back to just, can we run the ball?
And you see that, and I understand that the Steelers are going up against a future first ballot Hall of Famer in Derrick Henry, but you see the dichotomy of Baltimore being able to run the ball a week ago, Buffalo being able to run the ball versus what Pittsburgh has put out there, and it's so, like, you see that dichotomy where defensively Pittsburgh's on its heels, and then offensively it's like we can't even attack at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage, A gap, B gap.
Mark, look at how we respond defensively versus play action pass, and look at when we run play action pass on offense. Them defenses aren't responding the same way because the threat is in there. We haven't shown enough consistency running the football to really gut teams the way we want to gut them with play action pass. Whereas you watch, anytime Lamar pulled that for play, it was like, oh, all right, God, dog. We really thought he was running that ball. Oh, we had to sell it for this. React, get back. And it's like, we chasing, right? That's what an effective rushing attack can do to you. We saw versus Buffalo. It was like, when they actually, the play action, it's like, you react way differently. So we all are in agreement with that. They have to improve that. Have to. Now, is it O-line improving they block it? Is it, man, we go sign somebody off the street? Is it these wide receivers and this passing attack starts to have a little bit more consistency and that backs some of these defenders off? However it is, we just got to get that, and we do need to find that sooner rather than later, because when it's cold out, you want to run the football. It's harder to throw the football when it gets cold. That's the reality of it. That's why you want to be able to run this ball and play defense late in the year. So we're going to have to figure that thing out if we want to, not be one and done, which you already know.
We want to win a playoff playoff game.
We won a playoff game, right? We're trying to do something different this year. We might need to figure that one out because, yeah, that's the reality of it. But,
so, Mark, your job from the time we meet again is to see on anybody's practice squad, does anybody have what we're looking for? Like, you have a good point though. Like, where are they? Are they here? Are they somewhere?
And there are guys available. Trust me.
Yeah.
On practice squads, there are guys available.
Who they are?
Yes. That's the whole name of the game, and that's why our scouts get paid what they get paid, right? And the problem is, in season, a practice squad guy, the only tape you get is what they did in the preseason. You do not get to see what they do each and every day in practice. So you're still guessing.
Yeah.
It's an educated guess. There isn't a surefire, because I know some of the listeners be like, hey man, well, just go sign us. Pull up his tape. It's like, you don't get whatever he did in the preseason. So now when we think about, hey, how many reps did certain rookies or young players get in the preseason, and why we won't play certain people as frequently in the preseason, so we can stash them on the practice squad, because we're saying, hey, TaNeisha, are you willing to, give up a roster spot to go sign this guy for our practice squad? Because if you sign him, he got to be on your active roster. Now, you only saw him for a quarter in the third preseason game versus the Panthers. Yeah. How much you trust it?
Arthur, let me ask you this. In terms of someone on the practice squad, are they just like a tackling dummy for some of the first team players? Like, if I'm a running back on a practice squad, am I getting a lot of taking a lot of hits in practice? What's that like for a running back on a practice squad on an NFL team?
So if you're in Pittsburgh, you're lucky, because we actually do put pads on occasion and tackle. We're one of the rare teams that does that. But most teams, you're not touching and tackling anything in season, especially in December. So most of the time, them dudes don't have a lot of mileage on them at all. And in fact, you prefer them because they get to go against the starting defense all season long. The number 2 running back and number 3 running back, they typically are still trying to get some of those first team reps, and they are battling with the practice squad guy for those reps against the starters. So usually those guys' eyes are sharper because they're seeing it full speed. Now, the difference is this. Talent-wise, they usually aren't as gifted as the guys that are on the active roster. So that's the guessing game, but they're not taking a ton of shots. And in fact, they typically have to be ready to react at a high level. And as a defender who's had a chance to see dudes on practice squad that have developed into starters, or guys that were, focusing mainly on the practice element, even though they weren't active, 2 guys that stick out to me, Martavis Bryant and James Conner. Both of those dudes at various points before they became the stars and the household names that we were seeing in the black and gold, we were watching them do work to us as starters on defense in practice. And it's like, yo, what is this freak Martavis? What is that? And you're watching it over and over and over. You're watching James Conner brace. You're like, bro, all right, that's clean right there. Okay, I like his vision. And that's what you kind of are looking for with those practice squad guys. But they're not taking a ton of just banging. Nah, because imagine if this practice squad running back hurts Patrick Queen's shoulder, or this practice squad running back hurts Roquan Smith. Heck, we ain't got time for that. So that's the spoken or the unspoken agreement. And it goes the same way with, off or defensive practice squad guys as well. You're not about to hit any of these receivers coming across the middle. You're not touching the quarterback, and you better not think about touching the running back's legs in any capacity. Like, get in position. We know you made that play, but you're not about to finish that right here. So you don't necessarily have to worry about their availability is, what I'm saying. I think that falls in line when you're talking about dudes that have been hurt, though. And if they're on that injury report, proceed with caution, right? If this dude limited, proceed with caution. But in terms of the P squad guys, unless it's been designated, those guys are typically high level health and ready to go, chomping at the bit, because all they've been doing is practicing since September.
All right, I got another question for you, Arthur, if that's all right.
Yeah,
so
man,
we talked about the physicality.
No, that's not okay. Go for it. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
So, Arthur, what's the physicality like from the player standpoint for a Steelers-Ravens game compared to that of just a typical NFL game?
Oh, yeah, man. So every NFL game, a single collision, right? Whether it's a tackle or you're running full speed to that guy trying to block and he's running full speed back at you. We say those are all equivalent of, 30, 45 mile an hour car crash. Like, boom, it's violent. It hurts. But you survive it because, you got your pads on, you get up, you train all year for it. It is what it is. that Ravens one, yeah, them dudes gonna wake up tomorrow feeling like the car crash, and then you got out the car crash and you got into like a bat fight. like you got your baseball bat, I got my baseball bat. We just, all right, let me hit you in your arm a little bit, let me hit you in your leg a little bit. And you just got the extra dings, the extra, oh, why is that this color all of a sudden? Oh, I'm healing. Got you. All right. That's this game. And you can see it. I mean, we haven't seen multiple dudes taking the daytime NyQuil, you know, in a game for us, right? We haven't seen a lot of that. That happened, right? We saw Darnell land on his head, and we saw Malik Washington take a nice, put the blanket on his wrap, right? You said you want the warm blanket. You care about that warm blanket, right? So with that, though, it's like that's this matchup. That's how the Ravens Steelers are. And because we're also trying to live up to the guys that have done it before us. Yeah. You saw Ray Lewis out there at the pregame doing all the dancing and hoopla. You don't think they're trying to live up to that? And then the flip side, you know, the Joey Porters, the Troy Palomalus of the world, you know what they did in these games. And it's like, man, you're trying to also cement your name in this legacy. You also want to be a guy that can say, man, I made plays in that Ravens game, big plays. So everybody is ratcheted up. Everybody is trying to like do something special. And when the chips get pushed to the table, like we said in this matchup, we're coming in. Hey, man, both teams are competing for the division lead. Both teams know playoff implications, right? And what your season, how it can swing one way or the other based off of this matchup. So you just see dudes that put it on the line. Whereas week to week, not everybody's trying to do that week to week. They should, but not everybody does that. And that's just the human nature part of it. Because, you know, hey, man, every game isn't Ravens. Every game isn't for the AFC North. Every game doesn't have those same level of stakes. But when it does, you can see these dudes, they're not afraid to turn it on. And that's both sides. And that's why we respect the Rat Birds as much as we do, even though we absolutely hate them. It's like, yeah, we still respect it. It's like, yo, y'all putting your face in the fan the same way. Y'all just not good enough. But y'all for sure do it with us now. And you need a dance partner. You need a dance partner that'll punch you back, right? Ali Frazier, like you need that, man. It hits differently. So for me, that's this Ravens one. It's like you respect it. I don't like them, but you respect them.
TaNeisha, did you hear that? Ratbirds, did you hear that?
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, I heard Ratbirds, and then I think my thing went a little foggy.
Yeah. But it felt good though. It felt real. But with that being the case, though,
can you hear me?
Offensively, oh yeah, we got you. Come on, TaNeisha. You know we got you over there, TaNeisha. Let's ride. We were literally about to just ask you and Mark some of your key players offensively, right? Who are some of the key people that you felt were impactful in today's outcome in terms of us getting the dub today?
I think we might have lost TaNeisha.
Might have lost her. All right.
No.
Oh, there she is. All right. There it is. Come back to us.
Oh my god.
Come back to us.
This Wi-Fi.
Maybe.
Oh, wait, it's not Wi-Fi. Let me see.
All right, I can hop in here. Offensively,
all right, let's get it, Mark.
We've talked a lot about Metcalf. The swing pass out of the backfield is an extension of the running game. If you want to say that served the same purpose as the running game, whether it's Warren or Gainwell. Like from a fantasy football standpoint too, I know Warren's case is what he does out of the backfield, and that touchdown pass where it was just like, at first I was like, did the Ravens, were they missing a defender on the field? And it's a blown coverage, and good on Warren and the Steelers and Rodgers for being able to take advantage of that. I also noticed Rodgers is starting to go with the no look too, to freeze the linebackers and to give his running backs more space on some of those swing passes. So that's some of the gamesmanship, something that you might not see when you just look at a box score. But that's something else that I also noticed too, and that, you know, goes to what I'm talking about in terms of the overall game that Aaron Rodgers played this afternoon.
Now, I like that. All right, is she back? Oh, all right. So yeah, she's coming back. So I'll go ahead and drop my players then, man, that I thought kind of stood out for us offensively. I got to start with the big fella at left tackle, Andres Pete, man. We were a little concerned going into this game, right? Mm-hmm. No Broderick Jones. We obviously know he's on injured reserve right now. And there were concerns about, could the old guy, you know, come in here and start at left tackle and keep Rodgers clean, who was also in his second game back, you know, since fracturing the left wrist. And we knew he was going to be in a cast, and we even saw him take a shot last week versus Bosa, right? So to me, man, to see Andres Pete while he was available, man, keep Rodgers clean, blocked his tail off, man. And like, I think was it he had the one penalty, but other than that, it was like, yo, you did your job in a hostile environment on the road. Kyle Van Noy, good player. Mike Green, young player that is trying to become a good player, right? So with all of that, it's like, yeah, you definitely had to, look at what Pete was doing. And to me, I took my cap to him. The other two dudes that I thought stood out, man, DK, right? DK, obviously, best game as a Steeler. We would all agree upon that. I thought more so than the production, I just loved I'm a bully out here. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm barking at you on every play. I like that mentality because I think that's when we get peak DK. I think that's when he is in, his best form is when he gets a chance to not just produce, but I want to be at your face like, yo, I'm tougher than you. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I love what I saw from DK with that. And then we obviously have already talked Rodgers, man. So shout out to Ron.
Yeah,
and it
Pete,
looks like, my bad.
We get to TaNeisha in just a second, but Pete too playing tackle and not guard. So it's like, I mean, I'm looking at this game recap from the AP right now, and Pete's listed as a guard, even though we all know he was playing left tackle. So playing the position that he doesn't even have as much experience at least recently, Arthur. But TaNeisha, hop in here.
What was the question?
Yeah, we were talking about our key players. So who were your key players offensively from this game? Like the ones that you're like, yo, these were the reasons why we got up out that stadium today.
Yeah, DK is one. Aaron Rodgers. I'm going Patrick Queen, and you know what? I'm going JPJ. He saved the game.
Okay.
And I don't care what anybody has to say about it. He literally saved the game. They didn't score after that. And that was a touchdown, and it was reversed. And so give me JPJ and his penalties and his physicality and all of him. I want everything he brings to the table. Give me that guy.
There it is.
What about, did you guys see DK was a gunner for one of the reps on special teams?
Was he?
The more you could do. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. He got in there. TTG even text you, say, yo, is DK on punt? I'm like, you're dang right. Don't leave a stone unturned. If you can help us, put your head in the pile and put a helmet on. Let's go.
Hey, all we have to do is put the opposing player in a Buda Baker jersey, and DK will run him down.
Let's go.
I guess what this was, I'm reading Nick Farabaw's tweet about this. Metcalf saw Ben Skoranek nursing a finger issue, told him to get off the field. Skoranek then switched sides and pushed Brendan Eccles off the field. Metcalf, I guess, had one rep at gunner in college, but his size and speed. That. We don't.
That just gave me chills. Like he couldn't do it. He pushed the next guy, and then he was like, "Yes." And I love that. I love it.
I want to make sure DK stays healthy because we need him with the ball in his hands primarily. I mean, I don't mind him blocking downfield, but it's not that I don't think he's incapable of doing it. I think he's just overqualified for that, is what I would say.
Hey, you're not overqualified to do any job if we need you in the moment. Now, I don't want him to do it 9 times, but if we need you in that moment, that is your job. You are not overqualified. Do the job.
And in the words of Coach Tomlin, you would rather say "whoa" than "sick 'em." And what I mean is, you would much rather have to tell DK, hey, bro, you're overqualified. Don't go out there. Stop. Versus, dang, DK, can you see the homie hurt? Like, get out there. You big, you fast. Like, bro, we need you for a play. Give me something, right? I would much rather it be this alternative right here. So shout out to DK, but that's funny. You peeped that too, though, for sure.
That's so funny.
I definitely had a rep.
Yes. Some more Steelers wisdom for you, TaNeisha.
Yes. I love that. Well, thanks for sharing that.
There it is. Now, the final question that I got to ask you guys, as pertains to the performances, hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. How would you guys rate the coaches' performances? Because we know they're all bad and we should fire them all. And I remember a week ago, but just in this game versus Paul and the Ravens, how do y'all rate the coaches' performance? I got to ask.
I'm giving them a solid A. I mean, they had a great game plan. They were aggressive. They were physical. They did things that made things make sense. Mike Tomlin calling that 4th down play. Like, I just felt, I don't know. As soon as this game kicked off and the Ravens scored 3 points, I was like, let me see how this team is going to respond. And they responded, and they kept responding. And even in the 3rd quarter, they kept responding. I thought they did great. I thought this was one of those games where I was like, thank you guys for showing up this week. I appreciate it. So that's my opinion.
I like it. What about you, Mark? What you got?
I'm not going to give a letter grade, but here's where I will go with this. Keep an eye on how the conversation is this week with Harbaugh and the Ravens having lost this game. And what is his future with this franchise and how they've had the MVP with multiple times with Lamar Jackson.
Two-time MVP.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Let's say, put the respect on it.
If you were talking about different franchises that operated differently than, say, Pittsburgh or Baltimore, there are going to be more calls for Harbaugh's job, good, bad, or indifferent. Again, I think they'll be like the Steelers to where they wouldn't do that mid-season. But if you were talking about different franchises, those are the conversations that I think are going to be had with Baltimore losing this game. With Mike Tomlin, I mean, every single time he seems to be back against the wall, that seems to be when he responds, and that happened again today. It's good for a Sunday. It's good to be atop the division. The conversation we'll have of if they're one and done in the playoffs again, we'll see. But at least to get things back right compared to where it was heading into this game and having a game where you went on the road, you were a 5.5-point underdog, and you led the entire game. That's good on the Steelers. Again, I think if you talk about the red zone execution, that was a big component. And then the likely play, if you have to pick one play that really determined the outcome of this, you're talking about having a much, much different conversation. And it's almost like a role reversal body swap of what we're talking about in terms of what the conversation is going to be like this week in Pittsburgh coming off of this win versus what Baltimore is going to have to face in losing this game in the uphill battle that Baltimore now has to try to make the playoffs.
Whew, yeah, I wonder how that plays out if the Ravens of all teams in the AFC North don't make the postseason. Because, yeah, I mean, it's no way that the Ravens with the two-time MVP, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and all them can't make the postseason. No. But, yeah, in terms of the coach's performance, let me put them on a real tough, non-biased grading hat. All right, I'm ready now. Oh, well, let me look at this thing. I mean, Vegas had it where, we were 5-point underdogs. Okay. Steelers Nation, a lot of you guys had it where we're probably 25-point underdogs, which rightfully so. I can understand that. Yeah. A lot of adversity last weekend, right? Boo and Renegade, fire Coach T, historic, right? First time we've seen that, and at the crib on top of that. Everything that led up throughout the week, social media, chaos, right? Which we would all agree, absolutely chaotic. But we all said certain things about Rodgers about, man, he just looked like he had that like locked in, man. It was just start to finish, right? I talked about, everything that they had to overcome, but it was like, man, they just kept believing, right? And it's, remember, F the critics, right? Man, we don't care what y'all saying. We're just going to respond. To me, this is all what comes from Coach Tomlin. To me, this is Coach Tomlin in his best form. When the chips are stacked against you, when the adversity is loud, when everybody is talking about, man, how bad it is and how much you failed and what you can't do and why you shouldn't even show up. Dudes responded, man, in all three phases. And like you said, it wasn't perfect, but to see the coaches be able to get their messaging and not just to the original members. We had new pieces out there, right? Multiple new pieces out there. But to me, to see that, it's just like, yo, in the midst of all the chaos, the fact that y'all are able to not just rally together, but also get the new guys on this moving train and do it against a division foe who has their backs against the wall as well. This wasn't a trap game for the Ravens. It wasn't like the Ravens came in and slept on the Steelers because the Ravens are just 14-1. No. Mark, you laid it out. They knew what they had to do going into this game the same way we did. And our coaches delivered. They thought outside the box. Aggressive early on, like you brought up, TaNeisha, right? All of these different things that we needed to see from them, and they did it against a Harbaugh.
Harbaugh.
So to me, yeah. Yeah, it was a Harbaugh. Those guys are like coaching royalty. I get it, man. I get it. So to me, man, I love what I saw today. Now, it was just this week. And that's the thing that I love that Mark did bring up. Man, for this week, this is what we needed. So for this game, yeah, A, because and when I say A is the grade that I give him because I'm not taking last week into this game. All we can go off was what we saw for these 60 minutes. I know the storyline, and that helps me with my expectations. But based on these 60 minutes, our coaching staff made the adjustments. They had these guys fired up, and even when it started to tilt a little bit in the second half, man, we still were able to come up with some plays at the end defensively to get us up out that stadium. So, yeah, man, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Shout out to the coaching staff, but y'all know I'm biased.
Hey,
Yeah.
in the third quarter, I thought it was.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Well, I was just going to say really quickly, I thought in the third quarter it was huge. It was the first drive where it's like the drive does stall. I'd like to see a touchdown there, but even to get points, considering what we've seen in third quarters in a lot of games this season, I thought that was huge. TaNeisha, hop in because I do want to hear your question.
I was just going to ask Moats, like, how do you feel about this win for Coach Tomlin? How do you feel about this win for Coach Tomlin? You know, what is your aura around him now that he's gotten this win?
To me, nothing changes. I always have confidence in Coach T. It's funny now because he's officially tied for 10th all-time career wins as a coach with Dan Reeves. So that part makes it a little bit interesting because it's like, oof, he's tied for the top 10 now. God, dog. It's tough. It's tough to say he's a bad coach when it's like, yo, you tied for top 10 all-time career wins, bro. It's been a lot of coaches that have coached in this league, man. So the fact that, you know, he continues to win, I always love that. But like I said, in terms of my support of Coach T, that never changes. And that was also why throughout the week, I tried to make it clear that, hey, I'm going to support the way that I support. I'm going to believe, and I get it. Everybody doesn't have the relationship that I've had. Everybody hasn't been in these battles the way that I've been in with him. So I don't expect everybody to have that level of trust, that level of belief, and that level of patience and grace also.
Patience and
me
grace.
Me personally, man, this dude has shown a lot of patience and grace to me when I was playing for him for 4 years that allowed me to have success, but I also was a part of his decisions throughout the week and in game that also had us winning a ton of games during my time here in Pittsburgh. So all I can go off is what I could go off of. So I traditionally, when I watch Coach T, when I'm with him, it's like, yo, I always think his glass half full. So even going back to what you had said, Mark, when we were talking about how, man, if this goes that way, we could lose, or if that goes, we could lose. It's from my perspective, it always is like, what could go wrong, right? Or man, it almost right. When is it going to fall out? Whereas my belief in Coach T is always, shoot, who about to make the next play for the fella? Who about to stand up and make Coach T jump up and beat his chest? Because I want to be that guy, right? I don't care about hey, what if it goes wrong? I'm like, no, but watch when it goes right. Watch when I make this play real quick. Watch how when he does that, oh, I want to be the reason why he was beating that, man, because we all know what that moment means. Yeah. So just different mindsets with it. But that's how I look and view Coach T this week, following this game and leading up to this game and even going forward until, you know, enough information is given to me where I have to shift that. That's just kind of how I'm going to be because I have a long history of success with this dude and believing in this dude.
And he was able to blow the kiss to the camera, if anybody's wondering, after the win. If anybody watched it long enough, you got to see the blown kiss at the end of the game.
I don't want much.
He did find the camera. Man. He did find the camera. Mm-hmm. Look for that GIF coming soon. Somebody will have it or somebody will have the video, but it did happen in case you haven't seen it.
This game was huge, though, for playoffs because the AFC North has just been such a weak division. Yeah. And we could talk Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I mean, I've seen some Bengals fans get chesty to be like, oh, we're going to backdoor our way back in and win the division at 7-10. I'm serious. Bengals, I'm serious. And so at least for making the playoffs, it's a weak division. But this game was huge in terms of where you're at when it comes to trying to position yourself and maybe even host a playoff game. I mean, as crazy as that is to sound.
Oh, no, Mark. How dare you?
But this is why when you're saying fire him and you're still leading the division, it just doesn't make sense to me. If you flame out in the playoffs again, you say after the season it's time, it might be best for all parties to where we hear the Andy Reid, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, new environment, new situation. I don't think Mike Tomlin is a bad coach. Despite lack of recent playoff success, he's not a bad coach. You don't last somewhere for 19 years if you were a bad coach.
No, that's true.
Could it be better? Sure.
Or be top 10 career wins all the time when Dan Reeves and everybody else is like 23 and 22 coaching years as well. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm just piggyback on it.
Yeah, it's just and look, the frustrations, that's fine, but it has to be with the understanding where it's like the here and now mid-season, like, because here's the thing too. For someone that's like, fire Tomlin, this is it, I'm sick of it. Okay, if you want to go down the rabbit hole of, because I always hear, well, who are you going to go get? You got to have
Clint
4 names.
Kubiak. You need Clint Kubiak. That's the guy.
Here's the thing too, Arthur. The Steelers aren't going to do that mid-season. Who would be the interim head coach mid-season? Like, these are, it's like I hear these
Arthur
arguments.
Smith.
It's like, yeah. It's
Terrell
just, it's
Austin.
silly. It's silly.
Yeah, I don't even know why. Yeah, it's like a wasted
I
thought
appreciate you, Mark,
process.
for that.
Yeah, it's like a wasted thought. It's like, how can you waste your time? Think about that. That's like it's just not gonna happen.
Mark say, yo, who's going to be the coach in season right now for these remaining games that you still are in first place of the division with?
That's where it gets scary. Matter of fact, Mark, that's my new answer when people say something. I'm gonna be like, okay, fire him. Who do you want to replace him on this team right now?
Not just that. And again, it's all the recent playoff success, and we cannot fast forward time to get there. So that's what this stems from, right? Have you ever heard another franchise, forget the NFL, all of sports, a team is atop the division, no, we want our coach fired.
We are the special
What?
snowflakes.
You know what? I can only think of one coach, and it isn't even in season or in the regular season when he got fired. Toronto Raptors, when they had the coach of the year, and it was like they kept losing to Brown in the playoffs. They fired him after that. But it's like, you know how much of an extreme that is. And even with that, it was kind of like, bro, this is kind of extreme that you fired a dude that was the coach of the year, but it's basketball. So it felt different. Outside of that, I'm like, I can't even think of anything close to what this is. Fire a guy who's winning, you're leading the division.
Special snowflakes.
And the rest of your division, and the rest of the division prior to the season started, the majority would say have better rosters, right? Or at least the talent. People swear by the Bengals offensive talent, that talent is more important than anything that the Steelers were going to roll out there this season, right? We talk about the Ravens. We know how people clamor, or as the young kids say, glaze over their roster, right? It's like, man, the talk about us was who's our quarterback. We got the ancient old Aaron Rodgers, right? That was the talk about us. That's what they say. That's what they say.
Okay. Oh, that's why
Dwayne
people
Casey,
post
who
the
is who you're
donuts.
thinking of, Arthur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's glazing. Yeah, that's what they say at least.
But hey, Nick Nurse came in and the Raptors win a championship with Kawhi. Come on, Arthur.
There it is.
It's going to get better.
Look.
Immediately, it's going to get better.
And where's Nick? Is Nick still there now? Did they keep Nick? Because I'm about to say, they like to move on quick, man. Yeah,
and it wasn't
Like,
that.
we can't
it wasn't
turn back
that,
time
like,
and just be like,
Klay
and convince
Thompson.
Ben Johnson to come to Pittsburgh. We can't do that. So it's
Like,
sorry, TaNeisha, I'm sorry. Go
wait,
ahead.
but wasn't that the year like Klay Thompson towards ACL and KD went out with his Achilles?
everything.
Is that the same year?
Yep, it was the perfect storm. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. That you're accurate. All right, it worked out. It worked out. Yep. But
listen, we
outside
won.
of that, and
if you are not happy that the team that you say that you love won a football game against the division rival, against the frickin' Ravens, you need to consider if you're actually a Steelers fan, because there's a point in this where you kind of become a Steelers fan, or you're like the young kids say, you're an op. And you don't want to be an op. You want to be a fan, okay? And so if you're not a fan, if you are not happy that the Steelers won this game against the Ravens, you've really got to consider your fandom a little bit here, because that's where it kind of gets weird for me. Like, there's certain things that you should expect your team to do, and winning is one of those things. And if you're upset in any capacity about a win against the Ravens, and
why
about
did we
being
win this
first
game
in the division, I don't know what to say to that. I've got nothing. Mark might have something. I don't know what to say to that, honestly.
Hey, TaNeisha, I guess I'm just a simp then, if we're going to use the jargon. I'm just a simp.
You're a simp for the Steelers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go, Mark. You
how
got
about
to
this?
bro.
So
I
in
did
the
not see that. I
comment
was not.
section, so in the comment sections, let us know. What are you? Are you a fan? Are you a simp? Are you an op? Like,
be
let us
glazing?
know. Are you
I be glazing. You
Like,
know what I mean?
Listen, I think we've used all the words that our brain has the capacity for. Let us know in the comment section. Who are you? What do you identify in the Steelers fan base? Like, just let us know. It is what it is. Whatever you are, I appreciate the comment. So
Yeah.
let us know.
Straight like that. So with that being the case, man, Awesome as always, man. Super fun combo with both of you. And viewers, if y'all did enjoy the conversation, man, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Y'all stay safe out there. And until next time, baby. Peace.
Bye.